So in this tutorial, we're going to be retopologizing our sculpt. So once you have your sculpt to the point where you want it, um, we're going to essentially build a mesh on top of it that is going to, a low poly mesh that is going to follow the contours of the sculpt, and then is what we're going to bake our normal maps and our textures to sort of simulate the detail of the sculpt without actually having to have all of the polys. Like I have, I mean, my sculpt for my face is pretty low. It's only 300,000 triangles, but that's still, about 10 times what we want, or actually 100 times what we would want in a low poly video game, mobile game, or even just a regular video game. Especially when you consider, like, if you've sculpted the entire piece. So what we're doing, retopologizing, it's very simple. It's just a little tedious. There are some paid plugins that you can get that will just sort of do it automatically, but it's important that you know how to do it by hand. So first thing you should do is reposition your 3D cursor so that you've got it kind of right here on the bridge of the nose. The next thing you need to do is make sure that you have snapping turned on down here. And then you're going to select this button here, which is project individual elements on the surface of other objects. So we'll be snapping to the surface of our sculpt. And that's it. Make sure that your face is accessible, that you can modify it so you're not locking that layer essentially. And then add a circle. Bring up your tool tab. We want 8 vertices to the circle, 0.1 radius. You can actually maybe even reduce that radius a little more, depending on the scale of your object. Start there. Go into tab mode, and then just move in the X. At this point, this is going to be the base circle for the eye, and then we're going to build off of that. You also want to then add a mirror modifier onto it, so that we will be building over here, and then turn on clipping, of course. So once you've got this kind of where you want it, you can just sort of start manipulating it and building your eye socket. You can select the whole thing, extrude, scale out. You'll see that it is snapping. Ooh, it is not snapping correctly to the surface for some reason. There we go. You may have to individually move the vertices to get them to first snap. Okay, so select everything, extrude out, scale to make that next ring of vertices. Again, you can see it's scaling, snapping correctly, and then we're just going to kind of build up from here. What we're doing with this is, we're trying to, okay, we're doing the eye. Oops. Terrible. We're doing the eye loop. It's hard to draw with the mouse. We're doing that eye loop. We're then doing some building sort of these edges here. Edge down here. We're going to have edge come across here. Follow the contour of the cheekbone. Come up here. We'll come up to the hairline. We'll be building the hairline out itself. But we'll have to do that after we turn the modifier off, of course. So we're going to be doing a lot of this kind of work here. Sort of building off of our sculpt and kind of trying to match these planes that we have set up. So it can be really tedious. It doesn't necessarily have to be, but it just really depends on the detail of the sculpt that you've done for your piece. So let's get rid of that. But the basis needs to be this eye. To move it around. If you ever get kind of these big bumpy areas that are sticking out, that's showing you that the surface of the sculpt is not exactly going to match the area of your retopo. So you can kind of move around until you can get a flat surface, but it's really not that big of a deal sometimes. So I would not stress about it too much. Let's see. So you really just need to start building out. You're going to be extruding a lot. Um, extrude again. There for the height of the nose, and then come here and meet up in the middle. So you should see that it kind of follows right along that edge there. Extrude out from here. You can build triangles. Extrude that part out. Extrude that one out. And then extrude that one out as far as it would go, and then kind of build your faces. So, like I said, it can be really tedious. You kind of just have a lot of building to do. You just have a lot of building to do. The tricky areas are going to be like when you sort of extrude up to like here and here, and then grab that. That's going to need to be a face. You may even need to split it, subdivide it so that let's subdivide this one, extrude up from there. Just so that you're still capturing this, that you're still capturing that surface detail, the contours of that topology. Build up from there. Shift F is apparently some sort of camera hotkey. So yeah, so it's just going to be a lot of this kind of hand poly building that you're going to just spend a long time doing. And make sure you have that X modifier on. That'll make everything a lot easier. And then go through until you get the face done. So I'm going to go ahead and just sort of speed through this, building this part of the face, and I'll stop at some of the trickier parts, and then you can just follow along. So at that point. Another thing you can do that I'm doing here is if you hold Control and just left click, that will extrude right to wherever you are left clicking. It makes things go faster. I definitely recommend it. And just sort of make sure that you're following your cheekbones here. And sort of that slope. Just a little bit. Because the big thing that you want to really follow along with is the contour of the piece. So that is going to be, the silhouette is going to be the most distinguishing feature of your low poly version. So it's very important that you get it correct. Follow that slope as closely as you can. Like I said, that this one probably can bring it out there. I'm giving up some detail here, which I'm really okay with. There is maybe too much detail there. So. and then you can grab this whole edge, extrude out. Maybe want to from my guy here and just sort of the best way to do this here, but then bring this back. Try to get up there. You can hold the K and do that cuts like we were doing before, and then those cuts will let you kind of, if you grab them and snap, that'll just give you a few more vertices. Let me actually cut from here as well. That just gives me another vertice to work with right there. Let's see. That's looking pretty good. Let's see from here. I'm going to extrude this nose down. Just want to make sure that getting that part correct. Move on. Yeah. And then the mouth is going to be very similar. The mouth is going to be similar to in the way that we did the eye. We're not going to put a circle in there, but it is going to have that round shape that is going to sort of extrude this all down. I'm going to extrude that's sort of that top of the lip there. Maybe bring these down. Make this a little bit more in line with that shape of that lip that's happening. And then we can really bring these down. Extrude these down if you want. Kind of right to the top of that lip. Or maybe like right there, and then bring it out, because you're going to have like sort of a peak and then a downward sort of flow or shape for that lip. And you don't really need it to be too much more, how am I trying to say, like, you don't need it to be super detailed past this sort of lip area. So even with kind of these, I almost don't need to grab that one. I can just extrude these here and then kind of make a triangle there. Could delete that vertex as well and sort of just do some triangles. Kind of like that. I mean, you kind of want to avoid getting too complicated down here, because you do still need to make it fairly simplistic. Well, we're not doing any animation with these, so it's not super important that that shape be such that we can animate it. That lip shape, but you kind of want to encourage the shape of those lips with your polygons. So here's the top of the ridge of the lip, that's that top lip there, and then maybe a little bit of the bottom lip here, and then we'll extrude those down for the bottom of that lip, and then also just have it kind of peak in the corner there, so that we get good contours. Let's extrude down here. Looks pretty good. Extrude again if you want. Starting to lose it a little bit. Always sort of grab these and see if you can't get them to get right on top there. And then sort of think about how you want this area right here, this intersection of all of these vertices to look. I think I am going to subdivide this one and build a clean quad here. I can just do a quad right here too. It's not too terrible. And then grab these and extrude them down like that, and then we should be able to just extrude this whole piece down a little bit. Losing that chin shape, but yeah, that's all the stuff in the back, so it's really, once you get down to that bottom area, it's going to start to get kind of messy. Actually, I can bring that up just a little bit. Yeah, that's probably a little better for what we're doing here. Loop, but a big chunk of it, extrude it out. Yeah, I'm just pulling it back for the neck part there. Let's pull this guy up, and then we will grab and extrude. Let's maybe move him completely. I guess he's stuck there. So yeah, so then pull that down, and you can grab the rest of these and just sort of extrude them out. Maybe until we get to about right there, and then grab these and pull them. That one reaches, so that one reaches, and then line those up, and make a triangle. Oops. Oh. There we go. Got ugly fast. So you can see that I've just extruded all of these out. There we go. So now I have my faces for that whole thing. So that's done pretty well. The next thing you want to do is if you have an eyeball here, you're going to want to extrude kind of and then scale in just a little bit, and then take that scale and move it back, constrain to the line, sort of move in to give yourself that eyelid, that sort of socket. You can then even extrude further in behind the face. You can extrude even further. Scale it, extrude, and then scale in, and then move that back in the line. then if you want to, scale that back out just a little bit so that you get kind of a flat appearance there. I don't think I have my eyes set up. Yeah, I don't have my eyes set up appropriately. So for me, for my piece, for my guy here, I would want to sort of scale down even more. Move them and probably just make my eye a lot bigger and do something different with it. I know my character has really tiny eyes. You can see that like really quickly we can kind of make super fast meshes. So. Kind of just keep getting a different angle on it there. Okay, well, actually looks pretty good. Okay, so there is my face. I think I have some funky triangle stuff going on. Oh, I didn't finish. Oh, weird. Okay, let's go to edge mode really quick and delete that edge. And then go back into vertex mode and finish my face. Still kind of got a weird face, so bring your face back. Snap right there, and then you can hide your face again and just make sure that your contours look pretty good. Yeah, everything looks alright. Lips are okay. I'm okay with them. I'm not doing a whole lot with it, so that's no big thing. Okay, so that's looking pretty good. Then you just need to take off your X modifier. So just apply it. Yeah, sorry. Go into object mode, apply your modifier, and then you can come in and do your hair. So you'll need to mess with these vertices here to snap that up to get the next shape of that hair. Think about whether or not you want to extrude, just how often you want to extrude. Snap to that surface for me. Okay, so once you've got that done, then we'll start doing the hair. Hair, we're just kind of looking to make sure that we get, you don't want to add too many polys in. You want to just try to get the basic contours and shapes. So I'm going to kind of extrude up through some of these peaks and valleys to try to get these big shapes here. And then I'll start, actually I think we're going to need another one kind of right up in here. And then just start making faces off of those. That's right there. Put that up. So you're really just kind of going for the basic shapes here. Shouldn't be too crazy. You can just sort of following these little crevices that I've managed to put in with also thinking about the fact that I'm trying to make kind of a make sure I've got good quads or triangles in here, and nothing is too crazy. So that might be too much here. So oops. Try to keep them as regular as you can. So this one up there. I mean, we could put in another one here, but really that's kind of detail that we don't need, and that's going to get sort of mapped onto there anyway. So I'm just going to build it, and then when we when we bake our normal maps, all of this stuff will get kind of built in there. So that's looking pretty decent. So yeah, so just keep working on this. You're really just hand extruding everything, and just making sure that you build kind of regular polys. Nothing is going to get too crazy. So yeah, so just keep working on that until you get it done. You're going to do the same thing for the hands. You want to now the hands, you won't need to do an X modifier, of course, because your hand is not symmetrical, and you'll want to start with a plane, and just make sure that you have snap and your model, project elements to the surface of other objects turned on. That's really how you best build everything. So if you have any questions, feel free to get a hold of me, of course, and I'll do my best to answer your questions. Otherwise, good luck and have fun with it.